Hello, everyone, and welcome to TGP1 rounds 3 and 4 of this annual season number 42. Tonight we're at Melbourne at Albert Park in Australia for the 25% Grand Prix with 18 minutes qualifying before we head over to Japan in Suzuka for the second race of tonight. And finally, I'm joined by someone in the comms box tonight. We're joined by Cameron. We'll give him a big welcome to comms and TGP1.
Yep, delighted to be here, Jack, and looking forward to some interesting races tonight. We've got a real mix of, street circuit in Australia and then Japan later on. You couldn't have two more different and kind of challenging circuits, so I'm looking forward to tonight's races.
Yeah, we had two great Grand Prix last weekend. If you don't want them spoiled, better go watch them before we absolutely ruin. We had an absolute shocker. The man in 10th position, Phil Barswell, he came up trumps and won in Bahrain. It's the first time in a long time I think he's won a Grand Prix, but your championship leader on 44 points is the Mercedes man of Casper. He's currently on provisional pole, 4 tenths ahead of New Zealand Cam in the Ferrari. Cam is a former TGP1 champion. We're watching him coming through Sector 2 now. He is improving ever slightly in that Ferrari car number 5. Cam, former champion, looking to put the pressure back on Casper. Cam didn't have a great week last week, had a great qualifying, but just couldn't get the results in the Grand Prix that he would have liked, and he runs a wee bit wide, but it's purple in Sector 2 as we come round for the final sector. We'll let Cameron finish off this lap.
Yeah, look, fairly neat and tidy there. He was, like you said, a 10th up in the middle sector, and he just need to just keep the tyres alive in this final sector. You don't want to push it too much in the early part because you won't have anything for these final few tricky corners. But here he comes around the final corner. DRS wide open, coming up to the line now. Can he challenge Casper for pole? Not quite. He's just under 2 tenths quicker. But he's still about a 10.5 as he has a big slide for the first corner. He's a 10.5 or so off pole at the moment.
Yeah, he's finally into the 115 nose in the Ferrari. He might get one last run if he can just put it together. Now the Alpine of Jean coming through the final couple of corners. He's not going to improve. I think he had a moment in Sector 2, and I think everyone now is just getting ready for their final couple of runs, except Lewis Craig, who's down in P14 in the Mercedes. He had a disappointing week last week in comparison to his final season in F1 23, the former TGP2 champion in season 34. Not been the start of the season he wants. He wants to improve. He's laying down the gauntlet. His teammate is currently leading the championship, so he's got a big gap. He doesn't want to be the Chris Johnson of last season. What will it be on his run up to the line? It's going to be P10. Lewis will be happy with that. Just a couple of times behind Dan Morris. I think that'll be his qualifying over as everyone kind of shuffles out for their final run.
Yeah, he's a little bit out of sync there. He's definitely not going to get another lap in unless he's got enough fuel on board and can recharge the batteries, but he's already going to have took quite a bit of percentage out of them tyres. So even if he tries again, I don't think he will be able to find any more time. I tell you, Jack, Jono's actually, he did find a bit of time on that lap before, but it wasn't enough to gain any positions. He only took a 10th out of his previous PB, so it seems like it's a bit of a two-horse race here for pole. That might change in the final couple of minutes, but at the minute that seems like the obvious pick of the two for pole at the moment.
Yep, the two out front, we've gotten used to saying their names for race wins in the last few seasons. Casper and Cam, only drivers in the 15s at the moment, but the likes of Joe Villamanti, Johners, if he can get it together. Machine Ireland as well. He's about a second off pole. You'd expect the Kick-Cyber to be up there towards the end of the session. But as we come to the final runs in qualifying, Cam is not going to get out again. So at the moment, Casper, unless anyone can throw an absolute flyer on the final run, looks set for pole position.
Yeah, again, like I said about Jonas, there's so many drivers out of sync here. We've got still a minute and a half to go, but we've got loads of them starting a final lap here. And I do fear for them. They may hit a bit of traffic on their lap because there's quite a few of them still just getting the tyres in that perfect window. But I'm looking at Matt Tibos here coming through the first sector, and he seems like he's picked a good part of the track for a bit of clean space on the circuit, so we'll see how he can do, but I don't think anyone's going to challenge that top two at the moment.
Yeah, Court Gill there in the final couple of runs moved into the top 10 in the Red Bull. That's a good lap time for him to be P9 as it stands. But we'll watch Matt Tibbles in P7, the former two-time TGP1 champion. He's taken over from Softy's car, the championship car of last season. Matt Tibbles is going to want to try put the pressure on his teammate Phil, who won the opening race of the season. It's about a 10th. He's improving by as he goes through turn 12. Now, the final DRS zone that he's going to get on the back straight before he gets to the start-finish line. Round the final double right-hander. It's looking pretty tidy from Matt Tibbles. It's not going to be enough to challenge the front row of the grid, but can he close onto the second row of the grid? Someone we expect to be up there when the battles are going head-to-head. He'll open the DRS for a little bit extra speed as you see the blinking light on the back of his car. He's got no battery left, and it's not enough to move him up any positions, as Machine Ireland's also called it a day. We'll see if anyone else is improving. Phil's moved up into P8, as we've seen there. He's improved by 6 tenths of a second, so that's great.
Yeah, Phil nailed that final sector, but unfortunately for Matt Tibbles, he had a big slide on the penultimate corner going into it, and he just lost all the time he'd gained previously on the lap. So a big shame for Matt Tibbles, but I can't see anyone else really improving at the minute, although that's your humanity who goes up into third place, only 2 tenths off.
And it could be Johners retaking third place, straight back off of him at the moment. No, it's not enough for Johners. He's improved slightly, but not enough. And Dan Morris has sneaked up into P5. That's a great lap time from him. Kai now in P6 in the Williams. Wasn't here on opening night. Is looking really quick. Can he improve and get onto the second or even first row of the grid in that Williams for Kai? It's P4.
Great lap, brilliant lap there from Kai. It really nailed just that final part. I say it again, you have to just keep it neat and tidy, or else you're just going to throw it all out the window. And I can't see many more people improving here, Jack. I think that might be the grid.
I think that is the grid. The Astons already set their lap time out of sync. This qualifying was a bit weird towards the end. Guys maybe making mistakes on their earlier runs and just couldn't really afford to go out as late as they possibly could. They just needed a decent lap on the board. But for the second time this season, and the second time in a row, it's pole position for Casper. And that last time out, he was on pole position. He led every single lap in Saudi Arabia, did the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen, with the greatest respect to Casper in this race. We want to see a bit of a fight at the front, and I think we'll get that anyway, because it's fairly close still at the top there. Although it is a short lap, I think that's close enough at the top, which means we're going to get a bit of a battle for the win throughout this one, Jack.
Yeah, so your top 10 then in qualifying. The two we're so used to seeing. Casper on pole, Cam will line up in the front row. The good Jovial Manny and Kai take a third and fourth. Johners in fifth. Dan Morris with a great P6 with Machine Ireland. And Matt Tibbles 7th and 8th. And Phil and Dom round out the top 10. Phil won that opening race in Bahrain, has only managed 9th. Pretty sure it was P4 in Saudi, so it's a good start to the season for Phil. He'll look to try and close the gap on Casper. Casper leading the championship on 44 points coming into tonight. We've still got 9 weeks to go though, so there's plenty to play for, and if I know New Zealand Cam, he's not going to give this one up without a fight. And we're just getting ready now, the boys getting their final preparations in order, maybe giving the hands a wee wipe on the towels after sweating that final laps there in qualifying. And any expectations going into this race?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the start, Jack. They need to be very careful. They don't want to just go all hammer and tongs into the first corner, because we've seen many times before where people just get a bit too excited going into the first corner, a bit too late on the brakes, and then you can find yourself spun around very easily. You can obviously look at the opportunity for gaining a position, but it's not, the race was not going to be won right there. So it'll be interesting to see how Cam kind of plays this out off the line. If he gets Casper off the line, then he'll be fine. But if he has to make that lunge into the first corner, I do fear for him it could be a bit of a risk that he might not need to take.
Absolutely. As a great man once said, you can't win on lap one, but you can certainly lose it. And Cam, he has been known to make some crazy moves in TGP over the past. But as someone that has won the championship, you'd expect him with the experience should be able to hold on. We have 5 red lights on the grid at Albert Park. And they were on for an edge, but we're finally away, and it actually was a great start from Jovial Mani. Someone we're so used to having great starts in TGB1. Calm is not looking ahead, he's looking behind, but he's just managed to hold on. Can he now attack Casper into turn number 3, or has he got to defend Jovial Mani, who's looking in his mirrors? Calm now, going to go down the inside and try lead into turn number 4, and he has. Casper going to try fight it back, though they're side by side, are the two Ferrari and Calm holds on the hard tyres, so is Casper. So you imagine that was the reason Jovial Mani got such a great start, as the back of the field seemed to have got away without an accident at the moment. But Casper now going to try keep the pressure on Calm, who did what he needed to do. He didn't lunge in turn number 1, he did it in turn number 3 and got the move. Now Kai, though, is up onto the podium. He's got past Jovial Mani and is looking to attack Casper into turn number 10, round the outside. What a move that is!
Sensational. What a move from Key there. Absolutely flying there. What was that, Williams? An absolute rocket ship there, getting both cars down that straight from absolutely nowhere. And a fantastic overtake, particularly on the first lap as well, to go right around the outside there. Superb bravery from Key.
Yeah, Kai, on the medium tyres, maybe having that extra grip and heat, unlike Casper at the moment. And Casper is not having a great time of it, because Jovial Mani is right on the back of him. No DRS on this lap, but it will be next time around. Johners as well in the background, looking to make a move, but not quite at the moment. The DRS next time around might be able to help these guys make some moves, but Jovial Mani's got to watch out, because Johners, the veteran of TGB1 in the Alpine, looking down the inside, just letting his Irishman know that he's there to schnow. But Calm doing what he needs to do. He's 6 tenths ahead as Court Gill and Matt Tibbles in the background are scrapping, and Matt Tibbles has pushed them off a wee bit wide. The Dutchman might not have liked that too much.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit too close for comfort there, but they both get away with it, and it's a fairly clean start. No, well, it is a clean start. It's not even fairly. It's absolutely perfect for all of the drivers. Nobody's been caught up in any dramas so far, but it is still Enzio Cam who leads the way, and he did what he needed to do. He was just patient into that first corner, managed to fend off the attack from behind, and they got the job done on Casper, and now just needs to pull a gap to Key.
Yeah, he needs to get that gap at about a second. That will break the DRS and allow him to keep his lead. And Matt Tibbles down the inside, he goes on the Red Bull, and that is the Matt Tibbles moves we've come to know and love in TGB1. And I'm noticing that everyone seems to have number 5 on their car. I think some people love Sebastian Vettel in this lobby. What can we see up out front though? Kai in P2 has had the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on the board now on the medium compounded tyres. It's not quite close enough, and Court Gill and Matt Tibbles are just swapping places back and forth. I think we're going to say that a lot tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're all nose to tail at the moment, and you could just see there, Kai, he just got a bit out of shape into that first corner. Just doesn't want to get too greedy with that curb. He almost lost it, and we've seen many times a lot of drivers spear into the barrier if they just take that too much curb into that first corner. But he's still hanging on to Cam here, and he will have the DRS, obviously, on this lap to stay even closer to him.
And he is got to keep an eye on Casper. Casper didn't have a great start, but he is a man that's known for a great comeback. And Kai, we've seen him over the course of previous seasons where he's had that chance to win, but he's just made a mistake here or there in the rounds, and that's cost him races, and it's cost him a championship before against Jack Hickey back on F1 22. He doesn't want that to cost him tonight. If he can get the win, he wants to do so, but he's just got to keep the pressure on Cam and not force a mistake himself. Casper though, interestingly enough, Casper and Cam on the hard tyres. Obviously this is a 35% race, so these guys are going very long in this first stint.
Yeah, that'll be very, very clearly soft tyres at the end. But the problem for them is if they have a safety car earlier than that, then that benefit of what tyre they're on now will not really apply later on. They need to hope this is a nice clean race, because if Cam can hold off Keys here, then they'll be sitting pretty for the end of the race, that is for sure.
Yep, these guys do not want a safety car. We never got one last week in Bahrain. Of course, the 35% race does have the safety car enabled. Later on, when we head to Suzuka, you will not have the safety car in the 25% race. Obviously, it'll be one shot qualified. Matt Tibbles has had an off there, has he? Maybe that was contact.
I think so. I think, a little bit wide. He's dropped a couple of positions. He's got away with it. Looks like no damage. But you can see there, Bavessia making the move on Lewis Craig. That's another move he's made. He overtook Wet Lemons on the last lap, but he's already having a look at Dom there. And he's going right around the outside as well. What a great move. Just like Keys earlier on, Bavessia absolutely on a charge, on the hard tyres as well, with a fantastic overtake there.
And Lewis going to look down the inside of Dom as well, and they've touched. And that was a dangerous move from Lewis, and I don't think that paid off the way he planned it to. And I think that one might have to be an apology from the Mercedes man later on tonight against his former great rival. But through the front we go, and look how close the top 7 are. And I tell you what, Dan Morris is doing a great job to hold on to these guys and keeping the pressure on for some good points for Haas tonight. Bavesser, he was up with a chance of the win in Bahrain, so the no qualifying in Australia has probably cost him a great chance at some solid points.
Absolutely. Well, you can quite clearly see now the top 7 are pulling a gap to the rest. Phil Bargewell is 2 seconds now off Dan Morris, and it's very much a battle between this top 7. But look at them. They are all so close together. And you can just see here the Williams of Keys. It's just getting that little bit closer. Just having DRS every single lap here. He's just gaining and gaining on Cam. And will this be the lap? He's getting closer and closer down this straight, but he's not quite close enough yet. He might have another opportunity, though, coming down this one just here.
And here we go, he'll open the DRS. He's not interested in the cars behind at the moment, even though you can see the top 7 in one camera shot. Machine Ireland going to try and make a move on Johners, though they're so close. But unlike Lewis and Dom, those guys managed to keep it clean. Johners holds on to P5 for now, but how long will he be able to hold on to that position? And a solid 10 points. Round the final corner we go. We open the DRS to start lap number 6 of 20. What can Kai do into turn number 1? He's getting close, just letting Cam know he's there on the medium tyres. And the longer this battle goes on, the more it'll suit the likes of Casper and Cam, who are on the harder compounds.
I was going to say, Casper there was almost ready to take the opportunity. Keys just got almost a little bit too close there into the first corner. He was thinking about it, but just didn't quite go for it. And he almost allowed the Mercedes of Casper just to slip alongside him, but they all remain in the same order. And Cam's to the barrier.
Cam's
and he's out.
Surely a safety car. Yep, we've got a safety car. Now, this is where the tyres are going to come into play. Casper is going to have to stop for mediums, because if not, he's going to be very vulnerable come the end of this safety car. And what does this mean? We'll have a look at the tyres. Machine Ireland's also on hards, Bavesser on hards, Phil and Chris Johnson on hards. Phil has had an off, because Phil's down in 14th, and he was a lot higher.
Yeah, he had a spin.
Yeah,
it was through that fast kind of S section, which he's actually just coming up to right now. Just dropped it, and he actually hit the barrier, I think. Yeah, he's got damage on the front right end plate there.
Yeah, not good for the race winner in Bahrain. And Cam, like we mentioned earlier, as everyone's going to peel into the pits here, ladies and gentlemen. Like we said earlier, Cam, known to a mistake, we thought that experience would help him in this title fight with Casper, but it's just not shown out that way. He's not done what he's needed to do this season so far. And as Softy has mentioned, Cam not showing up that we would have thought he would have done at the beginning of the season. Casper, if he can just keep it clean and not have the battles with the likes of Kai and Jovial Manti and cost himself any positions, should stretch this championship advantage he's got. And it is only round number 3, but these sort of mistakes cost you in the long run, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to say the pressure was pretty immense there. He had so many cars on his tail, but, you know, it's the kind of circuit, Jack, where you have a little mistake like that, and, you know, if you're on Silverstone or Spa, Monza, take your pick, a more traditional track, you're going to get away with that probably, and you'll just spin off the circuit and recover. But on a street circuit like this, you've got no chance. The barriers are right there, and unfortunately for Cam, he's paid the price. And I tell you, there's an interesting strategy down in 17th at Sauber. That's intermediates going on the car.
Yeah, I think Ferrari have sacked their strategist, and they've got a job at Sauber somehow. I think Sheck Weiss is going to be back in the pits come the end of lap number 7. But now that Kai is in the lead of the Grand Prix, he's on the hard tyres. How important is this tyre warm-up phase for Kai? Just to make sure that Casper now will have the advantage of the mediums. How important is this tyre warm-up phase for Kai?
Well, like you said there, Jack, obviously Casper, it's the roles reversed. Casper now has that tyre advantage, but it's only initially. Obviously, he has to make the most of it, like Key did at the beginning. If he leaves it too long, it'll start to even out, and those hard tyres will come into play. But the problem with this is because it's obviously a safety car, so he's going to have to really, really work the tyres. You can see he's right up next to the safety car already, just trying to keep that temperature up. So I don't know. This is what I was saying earlier. That's where it's okay being on that other strategy at the start, but you can pay the price later on if a safety car like this happens, because it can just flip the race on its head, and it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, Casper will have the tyre life to go the distance, but you want the best tyres possible in those closing stages. And that might not be the strategy that Casper was thinking of, starting on the hard compound of tyres. Lewis Craig, he had the accident earlier on in the Grand Prix, dropped down about 5 positions. This has actually helped him. He's on the hards, and he's back up right behind Dom Smith, and in between him, Dom and Chris Johnson. So that's going to be a good battle for the final couple of points. Obviously, TGP1, the points go down to 14th. So the TGP2 drivers of the past, Dom, Lewis, Chris, Mr. Giapelli, Wet Lemons, Magic Poop Cannon is here tonight. These guys have got some great opportunity to score some solid points for their teams tonight. But as we get towards the, I do believe the safety car should be in this time around if Waze can get back round quick enough. But yeah, Cam just made that mistake, and that's going to cost him. These mistakes, they add up. It's okay having one here and there, but as the season rolls on, it's these type of moments that Cam's going to have his head in his hands at when someone else is crowned champion towards the end of the season.
Bavessia's
has
crashed.
retired.
What's happened there? Is that under the safety car? Obviously it is, but has he hit the barrier or something, or has he just pulled it up? I'm not quite sure what's happened there. I wonder, Jack, if he's actually tried to rejoin the session there, and then there is this unfortunate glitch where it can retire the car, because it seems very odd for it to have crashed under the safety car. I'm sure we'll find out more later, but that's very unfortunate. But for Bavessia, he is our second retirement of this race.
Yeah, not good for the Red Bull reserve driver. He's had a disaster there as we're... Oh, and Phil's... Wace has got a time penalty. He's caught up and he's accidentally hit Phil up the back. So that is going to cost him at least a chance at points when we get to the end of the Grand Prix. But we're finally going to have racing once more. As you see, the weaving, the bobbing, the trying to get the temperature in the tyres before we get going again. When will Kai go? It looks like he's already set off on his march. Casper, though, how close can he get into turn 1 and set this move up into turn number 3 like Cam did to him on lap number 1? He's close. Them tyres in the mediums on the Mercedes are looking very racy, and Kai looks like an absolute sitting duck here on the second straight. No DRS though might allow Kai to hold on for the moment. And we've had a crash
There's
further
another
back.
safety car. That was Wet Lemons, and he's gone spearing into the barrier, like I said earlier, after turn 1. I didn't quite catch it. I think there was potentially contact with another car, but would you believe it, Jack? We've had 2 safety cars now in a 35% distance race.
Well, these seems to be the issue with 35% races and safety cars. You get one and it just causes another one. But it looked like he just maybe did what Kai almost did in the early stages. It looked like he clipped the curb too much, and it's just spun him out. You know what curb on turn 2's curb can do if you take too much of it. But Machine Ireland, he got past Johners there just before the second safety car, so he's up into P4. So I wouldn't count Machine Ireland, who's obviously a multiple race winner in TGP1, out of a race win tonight. And Wet Lemons is letting the boys know that turn 1's curb is very big, and that's obviously what unsettled the car. So Wet Lemons not happy with us with the Albert Park surroundings, but that's what you got to watch out for.
I tell you, Jack, call me crazy here, but maybe some people might gamble and go on the softs. I don't think they are, so maybe I am crazy. Although there's a Sauber coming in, so maybe I'm not. We'll see what he does here. But I think, depending on how long this safety car goes on for, maybe it's worth the gamble. If you've got nothing on the cards at the minute. You're not really scoring much points, and there they are. They're going on the car, soft tyres. Fair play. Why not risk it? See what happens. And with a lot of others on the hard tyres, he could gain quite massively here.
Yeah, it might be worth it for Wace. Obviously, he's outside of the point, so any gamble is worth it for him at the moment in time. Obviously, has a few penalties as well. But yeah, maybe if there is another safety car in a few laps, with about 4 or 5 laps to go, you might see some guys peel into the pits, risk the softs. But from experience, when you're out the front in TGB1, you just want track position. You don't want to be on the better strategy. You don't want to be on the better track. You just want to be ahead of your rival. These guys, whether it's first or whether it's 14th, the pride is there, and the boys do not want to lose out. But Sheck, Wace on the softs might as well take the gamble. In P15, no points being scored at the moment. He's going to catch back up. Go on the softs. Give yourself the best opportunity you can of scoring some points tonight and helping out your team. But yeah, as we finish the halfway distance, we've had 2 safety cars for the price of 1. And yet again, we have this issue where when one safety car happens, we just seem to have an accident straight away on the restart.
Yeah, I wonder if part of that is potentially, like we were saying earlier, about the cold tyres maybe, and a track like this where they get back underway and then it just leads to those kind of little errors and mistakes because they're just losing all their momentum when it's so stop-start like that. I mean, I hope you weren't on board with Kai there, but he's absolutely wiggling down the start-finish straight like you wouldn't believe, trying to get some heat in them tyres. He's moving all over the place, and it almost makes you dizzy watching his on board, but it just shows there's just no heat in those hard tyres, and I think that's probably what is catching out a lot of them here. But this, I don't know, I'm not quite sure how this one's going to play out now, because I don't know if this is a good thing for the leaders, this extra safety car, or if they kind of maybe didn't want another one. Obviously, it just pulls us closer and closer to that finish. But, those tyres, I mean, the mediums will very much have the advantage now because the hard tyres, they're not going to have that leveler. There's not enough laps for the mediums to go off enough, so then the hards kind of catch up, if you like, in terms of pace. So it's going to be an intriguing finish to this race.
Yeah, it's going to be dangerous for the guys on the hards. The longer this safety car period goes on, the less time these guys are going to have to get those hards up for temperature and be able to defend against the likes of Casper and Machine Ireland. You want the hards to be in a working window. The working window, when they're in the working window, is usually great, but the longer that takes could be towards the end of the race where Casper and Machine Ireland are already long gone. But the one thing we do know, when the safety car comes in at the end of this lap, Jovial Manny is someone that's not going to give up without a fight. Kai is someone he's not going to give up without a fight. These guys are going to have to get these hards into that working window very, very quick. And someone we've got to watch out for as well, Dan Morris, very quick in the Haas. Can he mount a challenge to get a podium? Johners, former race winner. He knows what it takes to get on the podium and win Grand Prix. This could be literally anyone's ballgame all the way up down to P8. Matt Tibbles, champion. Court Gill, race winner. This could be a very entertaining end of this Grand Prix here in Australia. As we're about to get underway once more, Kai, for the second time tonight, is going to do a safety car restart. What did he do first time around? He did it absolutely perfectly. Can he do it one more time? When will he go this time? He's left it a lot later than he did before, not showing Casper the same trick, and what he's done is absolutely cost Jovi Amani a chance, because look how close Machine Ireland is to the back of the Visa RB. He's not going to be close enough to make a move into turn number 1. Casper, though, is he close enough? He looks close enough, way closer than the last time, but it's not quite going to be enough with no DRS. Machine Ireland, he's gone round the outside, and he's him! Jovi Amani's not going to be a happy man, and that could be another safety car. Hopefully not.
There's more contact at the back. That's Chiapelli off in the background. The Williams all over the place as well. So carnage at the restart there, Jack.
Absolute carnage at the restarts. Mark Tibbles has picked up a time penalty for multiple warnings. And I tell you what, the man that went onto the soft, Sheck Wace up into 11th. He's got an absolute great chance of points tonight, scoring massive points. He's already overtaken Chris Johnson as well. On the straight with the DRS, and Lewis Craig and Dom Smith 8th and 9th. Them two are going to be having nosebleeds being that high in TGV1.
Yeah, it might just work for him. If he can make those softs last, it might just work. But I'm looking at Casper here. He has to get punchy here. You just don't know. If there's another safety car or something in the latter stages of this one, he will regret not getting the move done right now because he's all over the tail of Kai here, and this could be the moment to take the lead.
Here we go, on the start-finish straight. No DRS, it's just straight Mercedes versus Mercedes power, and it's not enough into turn number 1 for the Works team. Is it going to be enough on the second start-finish straight? Basically, he's got no DRS, and it's just not going to have enough in the tank to get the move done. And it's the same for Johners. He's not close enough to Machine Ireland, and Dan Morris is absolutely defending P5 for his life. He started to form a wee train of his own as the Haas driver, and he's doing everything he can to hold on to P5.
Absolutely, and we're going to move at the back. Oh, look who's crashed. It's unfortunately our soft runner of Weiss there, who was doing so well, but he's just got a bit too excited. And we're going to change for the lead. That is Casper getting ahead of Kai there, down the back straight with incredible pace there in that Mercedes, and we could see it coming, Jack, and now it has happened.
He had absolutely nothing to defend with it, Kai. We caught the whole battle. He had no chance of defending. Casper's gone off. Oh, it was a bit of lag. Thank goodness. I didn't want another race leader going off and crashing. I'm so thankful that was lag, because I could not do another safety car. But now, Machine Ireland on the mediums. Can he challenge Kai and maybe Casper? We've got 7 laps to go once we start lap number 14. It's 1 second to gap between second and third. It's 7 tenths the gap between first and second. Casper with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, picking up maximum points in Australia. It's all down now to Machine Ireland as the crashes further back are starting to happen. Everyone has put the pressure on themselves with these restarts. The tyres not being up to temperatures, costing those with less experience further back as Phil and Lewis Craig reigniting their battles of last season. And Phil showing Lewis Craig who's boss. Phil up into P10, scoring 5 points. He wants more. He'll need to try and get through this pack that are ahead. And Casper now on those medium tyres has started to stretch out his advantage. And now it's more turning towards Johners versus Machine Ireland for P3, that final step at the podium. Here comes Johners now. Well, right on board. Down the inside he goes. And it doesn't even look like a battle. Look how quick Johners was on the straight in the Alpine. What a move. And that is up onto the podium for the veteran at TGP1.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying, and I say it again, that's on the hard tyres, so he's making it work, and even for the lead, Kai is still there, he's only 6 tenths off Casper at the minute, so this is not over yet, and if Casper, it looks like he's saving a bit of ERS there in the final sector, Kai might still have an opportunity of winning this race.
Yep, Kai sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so those hards maybe are the better race tyre to be on. And look at the gap he's closed in turn number 1. He's so close to the back of that Mercedes, but it's just not going to be enough this time round. What can he do? Can he stay close enough as he's saving the battery through the rest of Sector 1? And Casper looked like when he got the move done he was going to be okay, but he is in trouble of maybe not winning this Grand Prix as comfortably as Mr. Giappelli has become the 4th retirement. There's no safety car as he's retired in the pits, so maybe he's just called it a day, not going to have a chance of points. But now, as we come on to the 3rd DRS straight of 4 around Albert Park, it's hards versus mediums, it's Williams versus Mercedes, but it's not quite enough through turns 11 and 12. He'll come on to the 4th and final DRS straight, but it's not going to be enough. He's just too far behind. And could he be setting up a move when we get round onto the start-finish straight once more?
Machine Island there was very close as well, but not quite close enough to come back at Johnny's. It's great to see. It doesn't matter really what tyre they're on at the minute. They're all having battles left, right and centre. There's an almighty tussle for 5th place. There's about 6 cars following each other for that one. So we don't know where to look with this one in the final few laps. But Kai is right on the tail of Casper again, and he's got a good exit there.
And he'll open the DRS this time. He's going to have around 12 miles per hour extra straight line speed here, but it's not going to be enough as Casper locks up into turn number 3, but just manages to keep it on the road. And Johners holding on to that final step of the podium as well, as Court Gill has finally got past Dan Morris. It was a brave defence from the Haas driver, but just wasn't enough. come lap number 16, but now 2 tenths is the gap. Surely this time Kai is going to retake the lead of the Australian Grand Prix, as Casper's not even going to try to defend it at the moment, and it could be that the Williams leads into turn number 11 and 12, and it is Casper now going to have to try and make the move back, and this is what TGP1 is all about. It doesn't matter what tyre you're on, everyone is so close in pace that it just doesn't matter, as Machine Ireland has managed to sneak back onto the podium as well.
Yeah, it's all change at the moment, and the thing with Kai now, he's just got to try and somehow break that DRS. It is so powerful around this Albert Park circuit, and I fear for him, Casper may come straight back at him here. He's going to have it down the start-finish straight, and he'll have it again later on the lap, and I'm not quite sure the Williams is going to be able to break the DRS line behind him, if you like, because he's just now pulling Casper along.
Yep, he's just dragging the Mercedes driver along, but maybe it's all about who starts in P2 come the start of lap 20. These guys might be pulling a Saudi Arabia where they don't want the DRS on each other. They want to give each other the DRS. Dom Smith has passed Matt Tibbles for P8 in the Visa RB. That's some good points for him, and Casper is just pushing that gearbox of the Williams through Sector 1 as we get on to the DRS straight now. It should be a slam dunk move for Casper. He should regain his lead and take back his win at the moment, the provisional win of the Australian Grand Prix.
Close.
He's actually
I'm
saving
not
the
so
battery.
sure, yeah. Yeah, that's smart, because it makes sense to do that now. What is the point in getting back ahead, as we've got Dan Morris now ahead of Court as well for 5th place, and he's going to have the RB of Jovial Manatee now come around the outside as well. They've both got DRS, and look at that, Court has not just lost one position, he's lost 2, and Phil Bargewell is now ahead of Dom.
Yep, Phil's got back ahead of Dom, so that is good for Phil, getting some solid points after having a dodgy start. Casper's dropped to about 5 tenths back now of the race leader. Kai in the Williams. Johners now is actually on the back of Machine Ireland for the final step at the podium and into turn 1. We haven't seen many moves into turn 1 tonight, but it's going to be a move for the Alpine. And can the Kick Sauber get back his podium place here with 3 laps to go, just before turn number 3 with no DRS? He's just not got enough speed, and I tell you what, Kai is doing what Kai needs to do to win this Grand Prix.
Yeah, at the minute, he's got that gap, but I wonder, you can see Casper there, I can just see on his steering wheel, he's got 95% ERS there. He's obviously planning an overtake here, and he's just being patient. What's the point in getting ahead now if you're going to get repassed on the final lap? And that's what you were saying there, Jack. It could be a bit of a Saudi situation here, where you just want to be in the right place at the right time. And there's another move behind. That's Dan Morris loses in a position now to Joe Manatee.
Yeah, Dan Morris has started to plummet down the order, still in P6, so it's a solid result for him. And look how close Casper is to the back. He got that gap from 5 tenths down to 4, maybe using a bit of that battery down the back straight in sector number 3 as we come round the penultimate and then the final corner. Maybe the pressure starting to get to Kai. A wee lock up on the final corner there, and look how close Casper is. Even without the DRS in the battery, get the move done, but he's opened the DRS, has the Mercedes driver, and he's just biding his time. I think we're getting a bit of Mercedes 2019 at Baku. Lewis, we think our chances will come on the final lap, and that could be what Casper is. With Johners, that's 6 tenths now the gap. He needs to hold on to the final lap to mount a charge. And I tell you what, Jovial Manatee is 1.2 seconds back. He might still be within a shout of the podium come lap number 20 as we're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, them two of Jonas and Machine Island, because they've been battling so much, they have just slipped up a little bit there, and they are starting to get closed in, but it looks like Joel Manatee is going to get passed again by Dan Morris for 5th place there, and Court is right behind them as well. He might just get in on the act as well on the RB. Now down the inside, can't quite get it done into that corner, but Joel Manatee there, when he was looking at the back of the Sauber, is now having to look behind him once again.
Yep, Jovial Manatee, Dan Morris and Court Gill have had a ding-dong battle all night, and they're still scrappy, maybe a wee bit of contact there, but it's all about this battle at the front. It's all about the hards on the Williams, it's all about the mediums on the Mercedes. It should be a Mercedes victory, but we never know in Formula 1 and in TGP1. We start the final lap of the Australian Grand Prix. It's Kai v Casper. Who is going to win? We'll let you know in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. He opens the DRS for the second The third time on this lap. What will it be into turn number 3? Not enough to make the move. Casper, though, got to try and make that move on the final straight, where Kai will have nothing to defend with and have no opportunity to retake the lead as we come through now on the shoulder camera on the Mercedes. He's seen that cracking rear wing of the Williams for long enough. He wants to be ahead of it. The battery at 90%, that's going to be 0 by the time we get to the end of the straight, and the Williams is going to have absolutely nothing to defend with. As Casper now going to try and make the move. He should get it into turn 11 and round 12. Casper leads, but Kai going to try everything he can to retake the position for the race win. And they're side by side coming into the final couple of corners, and Kai's just not got enough. And Casper should win the Australian Grand Prix. Machine Ireland has stolen the podium from Johners further back as we come round the final corner. Unless there's something crazy on the start-finish straight, Casper is going to be your winner, and they're going to be running to the line. But Casper wins the Australian Grand Prix by less than 5 thousandths of a second. Johners picks up the podium. Court Gill somehow comes 4th. Dan Morris takes a solid P5. Jovial Manatee comes in 6th. Machine Ireland must have had a penalty. He's down in 7th. Dom Smith, he'll be happy with 8th. Lewis Craig picking up 9th. He'll be happy with that after his disaster last week. Phil rounds out the top 10 with Matt Tibbles and Chris Johnson 11th and 12th. Magic Poop Cannon comes home in 13th. And Check Waste is a bit further back, but he's going to get 1 point. He's got no wing, but he's got 1 point. So that is what's going to matter for Cyber at the end of this Grand Prix. But what a battle that race was. Never mind the last lap, that race. And look at the gap between them, 0.031 seconds between the pair. What a Grand Prix, and what a way to introduce yourself to commentary in the TGP1.
Yeah, let's hope Japan can match that. I think he'll need to take some, but yeah, what a win for Casper there. I mean, he was risking a lot. He was putting it all on that last lap, but he got the job done and just survived on that final start-finish straight. And what a thrilling finish, and just a thrilling race really from start to end. And you can see there Casper on the top step of the podium with a superb victory.
And that was the least pressurised thing he's done all night so far. Softy in the comments saying that this was an easy championship for Casper to win. I don't think Casper was feeling easy in that cockpit on that final lap. But the Mercedes boys, 2 in a row. They've won in Saudi, they've won in Australia. And I tell you what, it's Casper's championship to lose at the moment. He looks like the man with the cards on the table in his hand that's going to win. As you see, the classification there, Machine Ireland did have the penalty, so the closeness of the field, maybe the safety cars, costing him a chance at the podium. But Johners as well, he'll be happy on his return to TGP1 on F124 for the first time this season, picking up a podium. But Kai, he got the fastest lap at the Grand Prix. But as we settle down now, the boys will get some half-time oranges and get ready to go again for Japan. One-shot qualifying coming up before a 25% race, and thankfully there's going to be no safety cars when we head to Japan.
Yeah, absolutely, because it just showed we didn't need those safety cars with how kind of action-packed it was at the end. I mean, we were saying about the podium, or the battle for the podium, if you like, between those two drivers of Johners and, where is he, Machine Ireland, and it was so close between the two of them, but they were just getting caught by the guys behind. And then in the end, on that last lap, they were right on them. They couldn't quite do enough to pick up the result. But obviously, Machine Ireland getting that penalty put him right the way down the order and caught with a great 4th place there. I have to say, that kind of came out of nowhere in the end. But wow, yeah, brilliant racing all around.
Yeah, Court didn't look on for P4 there, but he did manage to pick it up, and he had a great start. First half of the season, on the final season of F123. The second half of the season didn't really go Court's way, and last week didn't really go his way either, but Court showing his true pace, managing to get P4, pick up 12 points. That's a great result for the Dutchman in the Red Bull. Not quite the results we expect from Dutchman and Red Bulls, but he's going to be happy scoring some solid points. as we get ready for one-shot quali and 13 laps of the Japanese Grand Prix. Obviously, Calm, the man, retired from P1. We kind of didn't really mention his retirement after the safety car ended because there was just so much action happening. And maybe this time round, with Calm in the fray, a freeway fight for the win is just what the doctor might have ordered.
Absolutely. That always speaks volumes of how entertaining a race was, is when the things that happen at the beginning feel like a bit of a distant memory. It just shows there was so much that happened, particularly in that second half of the race. And, I mean, yeah, obviously Suzuka being so different, the excitement with this is we don't really know who will be where. We obviously expect Casper probably to be near around the front, but it's such a different circuit from Melbourne.
Yep, and one-shot qualifying where you can't make the mistakes you can usually make in a qualifying lap and come back in, put a fresh set of rubber on and get going again. You've seen Casper got pole in Saudi Arabia, but it wasn't enough for everyone else. They were so far back. Cam was, I believe, it was 11th. You just can't afford to make the mistakes. You usually can't. And people like Casper who are consistent, maybe not softy level pace, but when you're consistent and get it between the white lines and get a good lap time on the board, one-shot quali can just reward you that much more. And someone like Dan Morris can get a great result in one-shot quali. On the front row of the grid in Saudi Arabia, he could be on the front row once more here in Japan. It's those type of drivers you need to watch out for in one-shot quali. Cam, Matt Tibos, Johners, they can't make the mistakes they want to if they need to keep the pressure on Casper, because Casper now extending his championship lead will just want a nice easy pole position and hope the likes of New Zealand Cam, Johners and Phil just qualify down the order.
Well, this is the thing, Jan. Obviously, we've got the different dynamic now of one-shot qualifying. You make that one mistake, you invalidate the lap, and that's it. You're right at the very back. And, Japan, you can overtake, but it's not the easiest. It's quite a narrow circuit, and there's probably only about 2, maybe 3 at a push, kind of obvious overtaking points. So it's quite critical for a lot of the drivers to just make sure they get a lap in, never mind how fast it is, because they can find themselves right at the very back.
Yep, it's not the time to be making mistakes in one-shot quali as we get ready to go. The boys, do not forget to put your setups on. I do not want any excuses come the end of this Grand Prix. Put your setup on, get ready to go, and it hopefully will be a dry race. We were dry in Melbourne, we were dry obviously in the desert last week for the double header of Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. We do not want wet races, no safety car. Hopefully it's dry, as we've got about 30 seconds before the boys get going, and it's nice and dry for qualifying at least as the Ferris wheel goes round slowly and the Japanese fans are ready to see some Formula One. Usually later on in the season is Japan, we've seen some championships being crowned. Not in TGP1 tonight. It's going to be the 4th round of the season as the boys have about 20 seconds just to get their final preparations ready for the Japanese qualifying session here as we're just about getting ready to go. Any expectations for this quali session?
Well, I think, like I said before, Casper is probably the hot favourite for pole, I would say, but you can't rule out NZL Cam and maybe even Key as well for potentially a pole. But here we go, they are starting their one-shot quali.
Yep, we are finally underway for the one-shot qualifying. We're going to try and find the race winner, Casper. We found him way quicker than we found New Zealand Calm last week. Round the first couple of corners he goes. Car number 72, the 2-time race winner this season. Currently on for pole position through the first sector, through the S's, and up the hill we go. The Mercedes driver just looks like he's a train on rails. Absolutely flying through sector number 1. A wee bit squirrely at the end of the S's, but now as we go to the first leg, now you brake as late as you possibly can, get back on the power, just lifting off through these parts, up the hill before the hairpin now. Court Gill in an impressive P2 at the moment in the Red Bull, but it's all about Casper. He's looking like he can handle the pressure. No, he's had a moment, but it just shows you he's that far ahead of everyone else that he's managed to hold on to first. And I tell you what, my eyes are deceiving me. Dom Smith is on P2. What is going on in this session in Japan? Dom Smith could be on the front row of the grid here, ladies and gentlemen. Take a photo of that while you can. Casper, though, towards 130R. He's got no DRS, so it's just straight engine power coming from the Mercedes as Kai and Cam now looking like they're going to be in the front row as well, battling it out to try and challenge Casper in the final moments, who made a mistake, is showing how quick he is round the final corner now. We'll open the DRS, but probably won't help him too much, and it's going to be pole position by 4/10 of a second. Court Gill with an impressive P2, and I tell you what, I was panicking there thinking Dom was going to be in the front row there.
Yeah, momentarily there was an opportunity there, but I have to say, what a lap from Casper to make that kind of little mistake in the hairpin. I know hairpins on this game are very tricky now in terms of just getting the car rotated and not allowing the rear to slip out, but Casper to still get pole with that mistake was a fantastic lap and caught on the front row by not very much ahead of NZL Cam, and again it's quite close there from second down into sixth with a bit more of a gap behind them, but it looks like we've got another exciting race ahead of us.
Looks like we do, and those disqualifications, Dan Morris, Matt Tibos, Jovial Manny, those were the guys fighting for the podium come the end of the Australian Grand Prix, and this is where the likes of Dom Smith, Lewis Craig and Chris Johnson score great points, because they don't make the mistakes that the guys that are pushing their absolute limit to do. But as it's very sunny and it looks like we're going to have a dry Grand Prix, who's going to start in the mediums, who's going to start in the softs? Can't imagine anyone will be on the hards unless Casper wants to give everyone else in the league an opportunity to win. As we're getting ready to go here for the Japanese Grand Prix, and Court Gill, I tell you what, he is not someone I want to be on the front row of the grid doing to go in turn number one. Court Gill is going to see an opportunity for a win here, see that Phil won in Bahrain and think, I've got a great opportunity to win here tonight on round number 4. Can't believe we're already the second week, the 4th race of this season. Feels like we're still new to this game, but who is going to be champion come the end? The mistakes that happen now will affect it in 8 weeks' time. You do not want to make any mistakes. Cam needs to make up for the mistake he made. He was leading in Australia, if you didn't see it, and absolutely destroyed the wall. But we're on the grid. We have 2, we have 3, 4, and the 5th light. We're finally going to be racing. We're underway, and it's not been the greatest of starts for Court Gill. He's under pressure on the Ferrari of New Zealand Cam, and they're still side by side. Court Gill going to try lead, but the softs are just not giving him the grip he needs them to, as Casper holds on to the lead on lap number 1, and it looks pretty clean further back as well for the second time tonight, which is what you want to see. Cam wasn't able to make the move on Court Gill to try and get onto P2, but now as we run to the first Degna, they're side by side. This is going to be a very dangerous place to make the move, and they're side by side and they keep it clean. What racing between the Ferrari and the Red Bull, and Court Gill says thank you very much, that's my racetrack, forces him off, and that allows Kai round the outside of the hairpin to try and make a move. The Williams driver looked feisty all night, but Cam holds on. What a start to the Grand Prix. Court Gill was having none of that from Cam, was he?
Well, I think that was ambitious from Cam to go around the outside of Degna 1, but he almost made it work, and I think they both did very well to keep it on the black stuff there. But this is allowing Casper just to get a bit of breathing space at the top. He's not quite got the second though, and here comes Cam back at court now before 130R, and he should get the move done here. Yep,
down the inside he goes and back up into P2. Like Alonso said back in the day, he's got a wife and kids. He's not going to challenge me into that corner, but someone that is going to challenge him into turn number 1 will be Court Gill. Can he get the move done? He's actually thinking about making a move on Casper. Casper looking very defenceless into turn number 1. And it looks like the softs on New Zealand Cam just provided him that grip that he needs. And Cam leads the Grand Prix in Japan. He led in Australia. Now he needs to get the head down and keep it on the island and not cost himself a chance at the win like we've seen him do numerous times in TGP1. And what a start that was from Cam. He got the move done on Court Gill, he got the move done on Casper, and the Ferrari driver, when it comes to natural pace, looks like he's the best of anyone on the grid.
Well, we've got a real race on our hands now. Now Cam's managed to get ahead of Casper on those soft tyres. We'll see what he can do. I mean, he has to stay ahead of us. We've got a move there in the background. That's Phil Bardwell down the inside of Machine Island. And it's a great move into the hairpin as he moves up into 6th. And we've got a collision at the back. It's at the hairpin again. And I'm not quite sure what's happened. It seems like Bavesio's going slowly. But it's all kicking off in that midfield.
Yeah, Bavesio's had an accident further back. The reserve driver in the Rebel was very impressive last season, but now, this time, in 130R, can the Mercedes make the move on the Ferrari? He's not got enough speed. And I tell you what, the top 5 are so close to each other. And now, the Williams of Speed Guy going to try and make a move. They're side by side. And actually, Court Gill's going to steal P2, and he's had a moment, so now Casper might retake P2. And there's just no grip being provided by the racetrack for any of these guys. And look at Speed Kai, he was in P4, he's now in P2, and Casper's going to try and make a move, and there's contact. And Kai's off, and that could be the end of that battle for now, as Lewis Craig sneaks up into P7. And this has allowed Cam to break the DRS. He's on the softs. He just needs to control this Grand Prix now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Kai there. Really hanging it in there, but he just carried way. Corner, and it all ended in tears, and unfortunately he's now got a long way to claw himself back towards the front. But Casper coming under all sorts of pressure there. He's on the grass at the final corner, and it looks like though he's coming back at Cam now.
Yep, he's putting the pressure on the Ferrari driver, just reminding him that this is not going to be easy on the soft tyres. If they were on a strategy, you'd pick Casper's. He's on the mediums. He's just going to try and force the Ferrari to go and use as much of that tyre as he can. And here comes Casper now, the blinking light on the back of that Ferrari, just letting Casper know he's saving the battery for the start-finish straight. The real overtaking opportunity into turn number 1. Cam now locks up into the penultimate corner, uses as much curb as he dares on the final corner now. The DRS will be open on the Mercedes as he'll close that gap ever so slightly, and it's just not going to be enough to make a move into turn 1. Gioviamani says the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but Cam doing what he needs to at the moment to hang on, and Court Gill is just hanging on in the background here.
Yeah, the problem for Cam here is those soft tyres are going to go off very quickly compared to the mediums, and he's just got to survive. He has to keep Casper behind him, because if Casper gets ahead, then, well, it looks like he's got the pace to build a bit of a gap. But whilst he's still in that second place, it keeps this race massively open here. Even Court and Jonas are right on the tail of these two.
Yep, they're right on the button. This could be another instance where the top 6 are all battling for the win, and Casper is so close to the back of Cam that it might actually cost him P2.
Yeah.
He almost ran into the back of Cam there as Cam locked up once more. Those soft tyres may be going off quicker than anyone would have expected. Johners now right on the back of Court Gill, just letting him be honest in the top 4, other than Casper, all on the soft tyres. So come the second phase of this Grand Prix, Machine Ireland and Casper might be throwing a few attacking jabs towards the end. Look how close the top 6 are as Machine Ireland now makes the move on Phil Bardwell for P5. And Casper now, can he make a move into the final chicane? Not quite close enough as Court manages to hang on as well. Johners hasn't had a great line out of the final corner there, and he's actually come into the pits. Maybe the soft tyres already running out of steam.
Yeah, Chip Ellie's retired. He hit the barrier, but that won't mean anything because Casper leads again. He's ahead of Cam into the first corner there. Just had the momentum, had the speed down the start-finish straight, and it's job done. Now it's all about how much of a gap he can potentially pull to those soft tyre runners before they trigger the undercut on him.
Yep, you'd imagine this undercut is going to have to happen within the next 2 laps. These guys are nowhere near the pace of Casper. He's just so much quicker. 5 laps in a racetrack like Japan, like China, the softs just don't last long. And Casper, you know Casper's going to lap 8 or lap 9. The undercut is going to work here. Casper's the one that needs to make the move later on in the Grand Prix. So these guys, while they're close enough, need to make use of that undercut that's around about 2 seconds. If you're 2 seconds within a car, you might just sneak ahead. 2 seconds will be pushing it maybe, but calm. He's still keeping Casper honest though, at around about 3 tenths. Maybe he can push this stint 1 lap extra as we come towards 130 for the 5th time tonight. He's not going to be close enough to make a move. Machine Ireland might be close enough to make a move on court coming into the final chicane on lap number 5. Not quite. He's lifting off here, not giving himself any chance of ruining his race.
He went very wide there. Sorry to talk over you there, Jack. He went very wide into that final chicane. His court comes in the pit. So too does Phil Bardwell. And Cam's coming back at me. Down the start, finish straight. And he retakes the lead. A critical mistake there from Casper when he really didn't need to make it. And he has allowed the Ferrari back ahead of him.
Yep, that mistake creeping into his game. Maybe not. Phil Cam's now made a mistake. Oh, no, he's not.
Bit of lag.
Bit of lag. Casper making a mistake there, and that bit of lag might have just cost him a wee bit of time in the battle. As Machine Ireland, look how close he is, 4 times. But this race could literally be won by anyone in the top 10. And Cam and Casper having this battle is allowing Machine Ireland to close right in. And I believe Machine Ireland is actually on the medium tyres as well. So this race, come in the end, might just be as exciting as Australia was. Casper looking to make a move down into the hairpin, wasn't able to. And I tell you what, Cam was locked up at every braking zone for the last lap and a half. Those softs need to be changed in the next lap because he's not going to be able to have a pace against Casper on the next lap, surely.
Well, it just shows how much the pace is dropping off because look at Kai right behind as well. He's right on these guys once again. And Machine Island is all over the tail of Casper. So Cam really is the bottleneck at the moment, just holding up some of these guys, which is doing a great job at that because he is obviously still in the lead here. But will he dive in the pit lane? The others have, and I think, Jack, they're going to gain massively with that undercut with the way the pace is at the front.
Yeah, Cam could be... well, obviously is clearly harming Casper's race at the moment. That mistake may have cost him the lead of the race at the time, but it could cause him a bigger problem come the end of the Grand Prix. Lewis Craig now down the inside of Dom Smith into turn number 1. These two having a great battle. I believe it was 2 points separated them at the end of last season. And the rivalry and the trash talk has continued between the off-season and now, and Lewis Craig taking advantage for now. Maybe see Dom Smith coming back at them later on, as Wet Lemons as well going to want a slice of the pie as well later on. As we look further forward, Kai and Machine Ireland now, and Casper all on the medium tyres. And actually, here comes Machine Ireland. Casper's made another mistake. Round the outside of the hairpin he goes. He's trying to hold on to touched wheels. And Casper, for now, as it looks like a NASCAR Grand Prix, has managed to hold on to P1 for now. And these guys battling might just bring the guys who started on the softs some extra tenths of a second gap when these guys finally come into the pits.
And speaking of them, Jack, the critical thing for Cam is he just came out ahead of the others that had already pitted. He just got ahead of Court, who's now been passed by Johners, but they're all nose to tail and within the DRS of each other. So we'll see, and I would imagine so. They're going to gain massively on the front as Casper and Machine Island again are battling away as they go through the final chicane.
Yeah, these guys battling is just losing time as the leader pits. Kai pits. Machine Ireland goes long, and
is he crashed? He's had a moment coming in the pits there. He's spun it under the brakes, coming in the pits, and it's put behind Kai. I won't be surprised here if the Williams comes out ahead after this pit stop.
Well, we were talking about he won't. He's ahead just. We've got some ghosting going on, have we?
Well, Cam's ahead of them, though. That's the key thing, and he's got a big gap from Casper. You could just see there he's gained seconds worth on that Mercedes.
Cam's got a penalty. There's the mistake that we've talked about tonight. You can't afford them. These cost you races. And he's around about 4 seconds ahead of Casper now. And with the soft tyres, you'd imagine he'd be able to close that gap a wee bit. But just, you can't afford these mistakes. You've done so well. You cost Casper so much time at the end of your stint. But you make a mistake and pick up a penalty. Dom Smith looking to make advantage of a mistake Lewis Craig's made on the exit of the hairpin now. Round the outside, a spoon goes Tom Smith, and what a move that is by the owner of the league. And Lewis Craig had absolutely nothing to defend with. And he's going to try and come back at him now. And Whit Lemons is going to want a bit of the action. They could be 3 wide into 130 yard. That would be crazy. Tom Smith holds on. Lewis Craig might be losing 2 positions here. And he has. Whit Lemons down the inside of the Mercedes. And he's round. He's clipped the curb. Oh, Whit Lemons clipped the curb, and that's cost him as the top 3 all box. And I tell you what, Cam has played a blinder here. He's ahead of Johners. He's ahead of Courtgill. He's actually got his teammate Chris Johnson, who might play the game here, and he's actually coming into the pit, so he's not going to do that. Phil now, he's ahead of Casper. They're right beside each other, though. Casper going to try and make a move on Phil. It should be pretty slam dunk. He's got
Machine Island.
Machine Island.
He's ahead of him. He's ahead of him. He's got ahead of Casper. It just shows, despite doing the overcut on Casper there, he's made it work. And he's on fresher soft tyres. So Machine Island now might be the favourite for this win because of Cam's penalty. If he can get some pace in those soft tyres, really need to keep an eye on that Sauber driver.
Someone else we need to keep an eye on is Johners, a veteran at TGP1. Is not going to give this up without a fight. He sees Cam up ahead, 2.5 seconds. He sees the 3-second time penalty, and he's licking his lips in that Alpine cockpit, thinking if I can keep these guys behind, the chance at the win is on here, and Cam will just be praying that the likes of Johners and Court can hold up Casper and Machine Ireland and Kai, and maybe cost them the chance at the win and get his advantage to over 3 seconds. And the smoke that's just coming off those Ferraris and Alpines, the lockups just seem to be absolutely crazy tonight. The guys are just using every bit of energy in the car they've got, and it's maybe just taking extra life out the tyres. But you see that gap is now at 3 seconds. Cam doing what Cam needs to do, even though making that mistake earlier on. Machine Ireland now looks right on the back of Court now to try and get onto the podium, but he's not thinking about podiums, he's thinking the race wins, and it should be enough here for the Mercedes driver as Casper sets the fastest lap at the Grand Prix. And the River Balakel on Schumacher into the wall there as Court Gill takes P2. And Machine Ireland going to try and take P3 from Johners if he can, and he can. The softs just with extra grip there. The double DRS helping has mean Johners drops off the podium. And now 3.2 seconds back are these guys as Casper now round the outside of turn 40 goes, and what a move that is by Casper on Johners before the first dig. Now what a move from Casper, and this is not the lap 10 that Johners was wanting.
I tell you right now, Cam is going to be probably messaging, trying to get a hold of Court here and praying that he holds back these soft tyre runners behind him, because that is the only way Cam's going to win this race. But I think Cam's made a mistake there. He's lost over a second in those corners there, and all of a sudden Court now is only 1.9 off the race leader. But he needs Court to keep these guys behind him. If Machine Island or Casper get ahead of that Red Bull, I think it's curtains for Cam for winning this race.
It's all about the Red Bull here. If they can get past the Red Bull, they're on for a win. If they can't, Cam does have the opportunity. I think Dom needs to have a look into the bet new nods, because the Cam seems to be doing everything he can to try and not win a Grand Prix in season 42. But the man that's wanting to win his third in a row is Casper. He's right on the back of Machine Ireland, and he looks like he's wanting a battle. The DRS on the side ahead might just allow him to hold on to P3 for now, and it looks like it will, as he's actually closing the gap to the Red Bull ahead. And the Red Bull might just be helping Machine Ireland hold on for P3 at the moment. And I tell you what, if Court Gill can just stay ahead, he's got a real chance of winning, because Cam just doesn't look like he can get that 3 seconds. We've got 2 and a bit laps to go, and I'm not telling any lies. I couldn't tell you who's going to win this Grand Prix out of the top 6.
Yeah, Cam had a bit of a scruffy lap or so just there, and he needs a bit more time. He needs a good lap. That sounds obvious, but he needs a real good lap here just to get that gap a bit closer to 3 seconds to Court, because Court is doing the job at the minute. He's holding off these much quicker runners behind him, and he's doing a great defensive job here, just holding on down those straights. And then for these parts of the track, they can't get past. So the Red Bull driver doing a fantastic job, and you can see Casper now getting very interested in trying to find a way past Machine Island there.
Yep, he's doing everything he can in the Sauber to try to get past this Red Bull. This is what's going to make or break his Grand Prix. He wants to win it. He doesn't want to come in P2. He wants to be a race winner. For, I think it's the 5th time. I think he's got 4 victories to his name. He won 2 last season. He wants to win 1 now. But he's going to wait till the DRS comes on the pit lane and try and make a move on the start-finish straight. In the kick Sauber, an absolutely disgusting looking car, but it's not going to be disgusting if he can get onto the podium and win the Grand Prix. But here comes Casper now. They might be 3 wide into turn number 1, and Casper is into P2. Machine Ireland into P3. He makes the move on Court Gill, but it's still not enough. And these guys, with 1 and a bit laps to go, are within touching distance of a race win here because Cam's penalty, and this could be a fight until the rain, like we had in Australia, to see who wins this Grand Prix. Is it going to be 3 in a row, or is Machine Ireland going to win his first race this season?
I tell you right now, Jack, that was an unbelievable overtake from Casper there. Sensational down that start-finish straight. To get both of them from nowhere there, just as Machine Island was looking to shape up the move on court, Casper out absolutely nowhere there, getting the pair of them, and he looks set now to be the favourite for this win because he's just gaining and gaining on Cam.
Absolutely, he looks set to win the Grand Prix here, and he's actually gone very wide on the exit of Spoon. That could allow Machine Ireland a decent run to close that gap for the start-finish straight, and it looks like it's actually helped Casper a wee bit. He's gotten that gap up following that exit. Further back though, Johners is looking under pressure from Speed Kai into 130R, and he's just going to hold on for now, but might not into the chicane. He does hold on, and it could be a very bad run though for Johners. His line was compromised on the exit, but further ahead, Court Gill is looking to make a move for the podium, and the Red Bull driver is going to make a move for the win, maybe, possibly. Casper's got a bit deep. Can Court Gill hold on and get the podium? P2, he's just holding on for P3 there. And Johners was passed as well in the background. And with the final lap begun, I could not tell you who's going to win this Grand Prix.
I tell you, Jack, this might just give Cam one last opportunity of winning this. He only needs about half a second now. If these guys start scrapping, that is the perfect thing. It's only 4 tenths now for NZL Cam. He could still win this.
The Ferrari knows what he needs to do. He made the mistake when he was 3 seconds ahead. It wasn't enough. He knows his championship rival is Casper. He knows he's won 2 in a row, and he can't afford Casper picking up another victory. The guys, Court and Machine Ireland, look too far back now to make a move for the lead on Casper, and Cam's not far enough ahead. The gap is 2.3. This could be curtains on Casper's win. He did everything right in the first stint. He cost Casper time. He got the gap he needed to. He got the traffic between them. He made the mistake in the second stint. Court,
he's gaining on him.
He could into the chicane. Here we go. Can he make the move? Down the inside, the Red Bull driver goes. He's so close, but it's not enough. And Cam will round the final corner, crosses the line to win. But it's Casper who wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Court Gill will be second. That's a great result for him. Machine Ireland on the podium. And Cam does manage to hold on to P4. Kai did manage to steal 5th from Johners at the end there. Johners came 6th. Jovial Manny and Phil Bargewell came 7th and 8th. Dom Smith did manage to beat his rival Lewis Craig to 9th. And Lewis Craig did have a top 10 finish tonight. So that's 9th and 10th for Lewis. That's a much improved race results compared to last week. Dan Morris 11th wasn't as effective as Australia as his one-shot qualifying lap was deleted. Matt Tibbles came home in 12th. Magic Poopcannon came home in 13th. TGP2 champion back in the day was Magic Poopcannon, 2-time champion, I believe. Chris Johnson rounds up the final points position. Wet Lemons came home in 15th. Bavesser, who's 1 minute 14 down, is coming round the final corner now to pick up 15th. The scoreboard, well, not the scoreboard, the telemetry on the left is dodgy because Cam's left the session, clearly raging about his finish at the end there.
Yeah, I can understand it because, you know, it's gone from a moment there of just being a couple of attempts away from winning that race to actually, in the end, not even being on the podium. But what a finale that was. Again, Jack, and it's once again Casper who wins.
3 on the bounce for Mercedes, and it just looked like the gauntlet has been set for everyone else. Catch me if you can, is what Casper's saying in the group chat tonight as he celebrates on the top step of the podium for the 3rd time in a row, the 3rd time in 4 races, and I do believe that is his 6th TGP1 victory. 3 last season in his debut season, over 20 races, and it's 3 from 4 with many more to come, I believe. We'll go through the order one quickly. Casper came first, Court Gill and Machine Island rounded up the podium. Kai and Johners came 4th and 5th. Jovial Manny and Phil got 6th and 7th. Dom Smith and Lewis Craig came 8th and 9th. Dan Morris, Matt Tibbles, they came 10th and 11th. Magic Poop Cannon and Chris Johnson, they were 12th and 13th. Wet Lemons got the final point. Bavesser finished the top 15, and I believe everyone's actually going to drop a place because Cam should have been 4th and he's left the session, so that has mucked up the grid. But what a night! 2 great Grand Prix once more. The 4 races we've had this season have been absolutely incredible Grand Prix, and we say we don't want Softy in the division because he always dominates and wins. Well, it looks like Casper's doing the exact same. Can anyone catch him this season? Will we have Softy coming back for a week or two just to throw the gauntlet down and say, know your place, Casper? But what a result. We're going to be back next week. It's China and Imola, 7:15. Tuesday night we get racing again in TGP1. What a start to the season we've had. 2 weeks. We've got 8 weeks to go, ladies and gentlemen, until we crown a champion. And the way Casper's going, it's going to be a new champion. We'll give it to Carmen. Any final thoughts from yourself before we call it a night here?
No, final thoughts. 2 fantastic races and really kind of, well, great finishes as well. And despite Casper winning both races, I think you could take those races every single week with how entertaining they were, despite having the same winner. If you just tuned into the result, you'll be like, well, that was a bit of a bore fest. It was far from it. It was action-packed from start to finish, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great to hear, and it was no word of a lie. Action packed from lap 1 to lap 20 and lap 1 to lap 13. Absolutely filled with action, as always in TGP1, ladies and gentlemen. He's been Carmen, I've been Jack. We will see you next week for TGP1, and we'll see you